Yeah, we're certainly looking forward to starting conference play. Yeah, as I look at the conference, it's a very challenging conference in terms of the number of quality teams in the conference, and so every game will be crucial as we go through conference play, not only for us but for really every team in the conference to try to wind up where you want to wind up. We're on the road against a very good Akron football team who I think offensively has come alive now and has found ways to put a good number of points on the board. They've always been a good defensive football team, and I think that remains true. You look at their stats and where they rank nationally in several categories, that kind of bears that out. So I think it'll be a very good football game. I think it'll be a hard-fought football game, and we need to prepare really well to get things done.
Going back to Saturday, just for one topic, have you heard from, or do you expect to hear from anyone from the Big Ten office or the MAC office, for that matter, clarifying the delay of game call? Is that a non-issue or a...
Yeah, I have heard from the head of officials, Bill Carolla, and we had a great conversation. So I think it's clear what happened. I think it's clear how everybody wants it to work, and so we just move forward.
Do you feel better after that conversation?
Yeah.
In terms of that call?
Yeah, I do. Without going into great detail, which it doesn't make sense to.
I'm not asking for
yeah,
play by
right,
play, but
right. Without going into great detail, it's really kind of hard to explain the conversation. But it was a good conversation. Obviously, the way the rule book is written, that penalty can be called. And it was called. Does it get called very often or at all? The answer to that is really no. Looking back on the game, we had a lot of opportunities to win that game and should have won that game. And that's the disheartening thing about it. It did not come down to that one play. We had several opportunities to finish that game off on a positive note. So. We don't feel good about that. I think our players played really hard. It was a very, very physical football game, and proud of how they played. So that one's now in the books. So it's important for us to move on and get ready for what will be a challenging conference schedule.
Penalties. Obviously, there was a penalty on that play throughout the season. Against Marshall, kind of said something might have been through rivalry. Still kind of picking up more penalties as the season's gone on unsportsmanlike conduct. So you disappointed to see that from the team?
I'm disappointed to see the number of penalties we're having. I do believe that if you look at it, we're to some degree trending down. Are we trending down as fast as we would like or want to? The answer is no. We need to. We need to give more thought to the type of penalties that we have and what can we do to prevent those number of penalties. But it's not uncommon in the game of football anymore. If you look at Akron's game against Lafayette, there may have been something like 27 penalties called, and so it can happen. Obviously, you want it to happen to the other team and not your team. I think there's reason to address our team on it. That does not help you win football games. And it's divided up between offense, defense, and special teams a little bit. So it's not just one side of the ball or special teams that's out of whack. We have enough penalties that's coming from each group to really address it and work on it. Too many drives are allowed to be kept alive by the opponent with those penalties. Too many drives take you out of opportunities, or too many penalties take you out of opportunities to continue your drives. You lose a lot of yards on the football field, and as we all know, those yards are very difficult to come by, so it does nothing in terms of positioning you to win. And so that's an area we can improve in vastly.
Do you
It hadn't
see-
really been an issue until Saturday. There were issues with substitutions, play calls, not really penalty issues, but management issues. Is there a particular reason that seemed to be of sorts?
You know, I recall one substitution problem where you know, the player that did go in did not notify the player that was in the game to come out, and obviously, you know, you need to, every player is looking to the sideline for the next formation, the next play, and you need to kind of get the big picture of guys running on the field and off the field. And we have a lot of different packages, you know, where because of the fact that we have really explosive players, you know, we try to get them on there in different packages to help us with explosive plays, which I believe we're probably up on if you go back over the years. So those packages are working, but when you're using a lot of packages, obviously that increases the chance of someone being on the field wrong at the wrong time and not getting off on time. And we had one penalty there. I think we had one penalty in terms of alignment that was really off of film. That would get called with the way we were lined up, probably about the same amount of time or same amount of times that the kicking the
delay is called.
the delay is called, and so, but you know, you look at where you're at over 4 games, and you know, we've had some alignment problems, some substitution problems, not a lot, but enough to, you know, make you want to continue to work on it and try to get those down.
It just seemed like it was up for whatever reason Saturday. Maybe that's.
I think there was some,
defensive side.
yeah, at times there were guys running on and off the field where it never looks good, you know, and there's some lateness to it. And both sides of the ball can get involved in that very easily. So, you know, we'll address that like we address the other things we got to work on.
Sebastian Smith, I think coming into this season kind of seemed like the number 1 guy on this receiving corps, but then Saturday really started winning a lot of one-on-one coverages. As he's kind of, do you see him establishing himself as more of a premier receiver in this group, and what does that do kind of for opening up opportunities for the other guys?
Yeah. We have a lot of really quality receivers on our football team. I mean, there are a lot of special catches made really throughout those first 4 ball games that were really big time special catches by a number of our guys. I think Sebastian's talent is really starting to show now. You know, kind of known for some time that he has that type of talent, that type of ability to battle really anyone one-on-one and have a good shot at coming down to him. So he is a guy that you can go to, and obviously opponents will pick that up as they watch our films. You know, so he is really where we want him to be in terms of his receiving ability. You know, we still need to fine-tune some things in terms of the overall package, you know, the running game and blocking and those kind of things, not only with him but with really the entire receiving core, because we do have the ability to run the football, and you know, not many teams ran it as well as we did against Minnesota. Certainly not many this year, not any this year maybe, and so that ability showed. The thing that's happening to us though is we're getting what we call big runs, 10 to 19. What we're not getting is enough explosive runs, 20 to 29. And in that middle area there between big and extra explosive, those explosive runs, we got to get more of those. And so how do you take the 19 big runs that we've made this year and get a portion of those into that other column. And that's by, you know, little things. That's by backs, maybe making sure they're hitting the right aim point. And so the timing of the play is there. You can have it well blocked, and if the timing's off a little bit, you get a 5-yard gain if you gain anything, you know. And so, you know, that enters into the picture a little bit. Not only the line blocking dictates whether you get it back to the linebacker area, and that's what running football is all about, getting your back to the linebacker area and then having a kind of back that can do something there, because you're going to have safeties coming up that have got gap responsibility that aren't going to be able to get cracked by the wide out, and so you're just going to have to deal with those guys one-on-one. So backs dealing with those guys one-on-one, you know, we've got to continue to work on. We've got to get perimeter blocking better. You know, though that is a lot of times the case with teams that are getting big runs but aren't getting them into the explosive category. You know, so we need to find a way to get that done, and so we need to really fine-tune our running game. But the basis of a good running game is there.
Anything you can tell us about the status of some of the guys dinged up Saturday, like Darius's ankle, for instance?
Yeah, he should be fine for the game. You know, how much practice time he'll get early in the week remains to be seen, but he should be fine. I'm certainly not going to volunteer names, so you're going to have to drag that out of me.
Just two other guys that were obviously hurt Saturday. Javon Johnson with his ankle again, and Terrell Passion.
Yeah. I say I believe Javon will have a chance to play this game. Terrell is questionable. We'll need to see how he responds the next couple of days.
It's a tough game planning defensively for a team that has this, you know, Woodson's their third quarterback, and maybe they found some things there with him, but knowing that he's a little bit different than the other two guys, do you discard week 1 and 2 when looking at their film? How do you
I don't think you discard week 1 and 2, you know, because offensive coordinators want to try to have their whole package ready to go, regardless of the quarterback. But there are certain things that you certainly highlight with quarterbacks and their differences, and I think they're doing a good job of highlighting Woodson in terms of what he's about. You know, he's a very big guy. He's a difficult guy to tackle, so they're not afraid to use him running the football, and he can scramble with his size and get headed up the field where, you know, it's difficult to keep him corralled. And so, you know, all that comes into play. You know, so whatever quarterback they use is still, you know, they've got people around the quarterback. You know, it's not a deal where this offense is just quarterback oriented. You know, they've got quality running backs. They've got a lot of their offensive linemen returning, and so I know they feel good about being able to run the ball as well as throw the ball. So, you know, we're going to have to try to find a way to stop an offense that's really moving the football well right now.
His ability to run, make plays with his feet, is that kind of like how you guys use a quarterback to run a 2-back offense out of a 1-back look? Is that similar to what they've kind of found here lately?
Yeah, I think so. When you look at it, you know, they're utilizing him the way a lot of teams will utilize a quarterback out of the shotgun and with a 1-back offense. You know, they also have a fullback in their system, and so they're able to go to a different style of offense if they want to.
Coach Darius has been playing, you know, very well, especially since he's been the only guy available. How do you think he's been different this year, or it has improved in certain areas as opposed to the last few years?
You know, I thought he got off to a good start last year. You know, then he got hurt, and so that took him out of a number of games for us in the middle of the season. So, you know, obviously that slowed down his progress and ability to develop continuity at the position. and then came back and, you know, played a crucial role in our winning our last game against Miami. And so I think he's kind of picked up where he's left off. And now, you know, with continued play, I think he's just getting more and more comfortable. We do have a number of receivers that he can go to that can make special catches and have been consistent in terms of their route running, so he knows where they're going to be, and then we're able to establish enough of a ground game that, you know, they just can't start rushing the quarterback and forget about the ground game. So we got a combination of things going. I think that helps our quarterbacks, but Darius is playing very well.
When JD comes back, are you still going to try to get him as much time as you were the first couple of games, or has Darius shown enough over the past 2 weeks that he'll be the guy full time?
Yeah, I'm not looking into the future too much there in terms of really any position. You know, it kind of unfolds for you if you start to say, well, when he comes back, when a quarterback comes back, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. Well, quarterback may come back, he may not be playing at the level that he was when he got hurt, or he may be playing better than what he did when he got hurt. All those things changes your thinking a little bit. So I wait on those decisions till I have to make the decision, and obviously we're not into promising guys anything. You start doing that, and then the promises aren't kept. That's never good for a program, and so we don't make promises, but we give them outlines as to how we expect things could fall.
Coach, you mentioned last week in the press conference setbacks. Obviously, you don't want to lose games, but is it kind of refreshing knowing that you can go after losing a game into conference play when it really matters, 0 or 0-0?
You know, we're all into trying to get done what's at hand. You know, and obviously now that we're entering the conference and it's a fresh slate for everybody, you know, that's energizing, you know, regardless of whether you won the last game or didn't win the last game. And, you know, conference is something that you design your season around, how you do in your conference. And our players understand that, and they know that, you know, they've got to take every conference game one at a time, and you know, their slogan of going 1-0 is every time they meet a new opponent is really an understanding by them of how this thing all works. You know, you can't look behind in terms of what you've done. You can't look ahead as to what you think you're going to do. You just better be ready to step on the field and play the best football you can play to get done what you need to get done at that given moment. And then everything. If you're doing it all right, everything kind of takes care of itself.
Going into conference play, obviously teams know the other teams in their conference better than they do a lot of the non-conference foes they play. With the program continuity here, are you guys trying to find ways to keep things fresh or to tweak things year to year? So, you know, like Akron, for instance, they've got 10 years of book on you guys. How do you try to keep things fresh so they can't just have this enormous well of information that they can use to game plan year to year? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, I think so. My question may not make you believe that, or my answer may not make you believe that, but I think number one, you don't want to just be driven out of what you believe you do best because you're worried about what the opponent might do. And what they might know. You know, whatever you do well, you gotta keep on doing it. And if you're not doing something well, you either throw it out or you look for ways to tweak it to get it better. And then obviously you always look for opportunities to throw something a little special in. You know, and that is true on special teams, defense and offense. Whether it's a different blitz, you know, whether it's something in the some special deal that you want to try to do in the special teams play, whether it's you know, trick plays or what have you. You know, you want to try to freshen up what you're all about by doing some of that stuff. But you don't want to do so much of it that you lead yourself away from what you're good at. You know, you want to make sure you give yourself your best chance by doing what you're good at and make them stop that. And then have some alternatives that maybe they haven't seen or maybe aren't quite ready for that you think has a chance against them.
Does it ever feel like a burden, having that continuity, or do the benefits far outweigh any kind of concern that everyone knows what you guys are about at this point?
Well, I think teams get in trouble and don't play their best ball whenever they try to reinvent things, you know, and I mean, you come through spring ball running an offense and a defense, you come through fall camp running an offense and a defense, your players pretty well know what we're about, what we're trying to accomplish, what we're doing offensively and defensively, and you don't want to start strategizing to the point where you take them away from that. You take that out of their control and you say, okay, we're doing this week. You know, you can't reinvent the game week by week, but you can tweak it, and that's what, you know, I think most coaches would do once they get into conference play. Now, injuries can come into play, and that forces you to become a whole different outfit sometimes.
Akron has a lot of stuff going on off the field, obviously. Would you say, you know, maybe from a recruiting standpoint, it would be harder to bring players into a program when, you know, other programs are having to be cut?
Okay. Give me the question again, if you will.
So they had to drop their arts and everything. The school's technically in debt, and there's a lot of talk about, you know, things that they need to do. Terry Bowden said it hasn't really affected the football program, but they just had to cut the baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that kind of stuff could, this is, you know, it doesn't relate to OU, but could that affect recruiting or trying to bring athletes in their futures and so on?
Well, I think every school has their headaches, you know, and obviously if you have too many of them, that can affect recruiting. But, you know, they've done a good job. I mean, and you know, they recruit hard, they recruit well, they've got a lot of contacts down south, they use those contacts. You know, they do bring in a lot of transfers, and so, you know, when your program is built like theirs is, then I'm with Terry on that probably. I don't think it affects our program.
What's the health of the offensive line look like coming into the Akron weekend?
Banged up, but we were pretty, you know, we felt we were deep, even though our second unit may not have had a lot of experience. They are quality players, and you know, they've kept improving through their time here, and so we felt like we had a pretty good rotation ready to go into play. But you know, that's not played itself out quite as well because we've gotten banged up there, and but you know, the guys seem to have, a lot of the starters are taking more snaps than maybe what you'd like to see them take as you try to get through a year. But right now we're on the cusp of having guys not quite ready to come back, but pretty close, and so hopefully as time goes on we can start building that depth again.